Picture this. It's December 3rd, 1976. Bob Marley is chilling at his home in Kingston, 2 days away from playing a major peace concert. Then, out of nowhere, 7 armed men burst inside. Bullets fly. Marley, his wife Rita, and others are shot. But they survive. Who ordered this hit? What political storm was Marley caught in? And why did people want him dead? In this video, we are finally piecing together the truth of who wanted Bob Marley gone. And the answer is more intense than a reggae beat. Bob Marley's rise. Bob Marley's journey from a small Jamaican village to global reggae legend is the kind of rise story that gives you goosebumps. He was born Robert Nesta Marley on February 6, 1945, in 9 Miles, St. Ann Parish, Jamaica. His father, Norval Marley, was a white Jamaican naval officer, and his mother, Cedella Malcolm, was black. From birth, Bob carried a complex identity that would shape his art and his worldview. As a child, Bob was not born into wealth. He moved from the countryside into Kingston's tough Trenchtown neighborhood, a place full of poverty but rich in musical energy. He was shy, thoughtful, and sometimes lost in his own world. But the lively streets of Trenchtown connected him to the people and their stories. That connection became the heartbeat of his music and the message behind his lyrics. In his teens, Bob Marley formed a vocal group with 2 friends, Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer. They experimented with names like the Teenagers and the Wailing Rude Boys before finally settling on the Wailers. Bob poured himself into music with heart and determination, releasing early songs like Judge Not and 1 Cup of Coffee that hinted at his talent and vision. By 1964, the trio caught the attention of the legendary producer Coxsone Dodd at Studio One. Their first hit, Simmer Down, became a #1 song in Jamaica. Unlike typical party music, the track spoke directly to the social tension of the time, warning Kingston's rude boys to cool down. It was more than a song. It was a message for the streets, and it proved that Jamaican artists could sing about their own realities without copying outside styles. Through the late 1960s, the Wailers' sound evolved. Working with visionary producer Lee Scratch Perry, they moved from ska into rocksteady and eventually reggae. Their unique blend of rhythm, spirituality, and social consciousness helped them stand out. In 1972, signing with Island Records transformed their local fame into international recognition, setting the stage for the global reach Marley would soon achieve. Their breakthrough album, Catch a Fire, released in 1973, introduced audiences outside Jamaica to the Wailers' powerful sound. Over the next few years, albums like Natty Dread, Rastaman Vibration, and Exodus cemented Marley's reputation. These albums were not just music, they were statements, blending social commentary, spiritual reflection, and catchy rhythms that people everywhere could connect with. What truly set Bob Marley apart was the depth behind his music. As a devoted Rastafarian, his faith informed his lyrics, giving them spiritual weight and moral urgency. He sang about oppression, unity, justice, and love in a way that felt urgent and sincere. By the mid-1970s, Bob Marley had become more than a musician. He was a symbol, a messenger, and a poet whose music resonated with people around the world and made him an unstoppable force in both culture and activism. Jamaica in the 1970s. To understand the forces that might have made Bob Marley a target, you need to look at Jamaica in the mid-1970s. This was not just a Caribbean paradise. It was a politically charged, violent battlefield. 2 major parties, the People's National Party, PNP, led by Michael Manley, and the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, under Edward Seaga, were locked in a fierce ideological battle. Their political strategies went far beyond campaigning. They built entrenched strongholds known as garrison communities, where dons, or gang leaders, acted as local power brokers. These garrison neighborhoods were fortified political enclaves. In them, political parties didn't just ask for votes, they maintained control through violence. These strongholds were home to PASs, armed gangs aligned with either the PNP or JLP, used to enforce loyalty during elections. The posses were not small-time street gangs. Many had serious firepower and operated like paramilitary groups. By the mid-1970s, political violence had spiraled out of control. For the 1976 election, the situation was so dangerous that a state of emergency was declared. During that campaign, hundreds of deaths were reported. Political parties armed their enforcers and used terror to secure votes. This was not fringe violence. It was part of how power was maintained in Jamaica. Meanwhile, the global context made things even more volatile. Cold War tensions were alive and well in the Caribbean. Some suspected that the CIA was providing support to the JLP, aiming to counter leftist influences in Jamaica. At the same time, elements within the PNP were believed to be sympathetic to socialist-leaning governments like Cuba. The rivalry was not just local, it was international, ideological, and bloody. Economically, Jamaica was under immense strain. The country was dealing with rising inflation, high unemployment, and political instability that scared off tourists. In poor urban areas, life was difficult, and people felt trapped between gang violence, political manipulation, and economic desperation. The garrison communities in particular suffered, but they also became powerful political tools. Bob Marley, with his global reputation and influence, didn't just make music. He made statements. His voice resonated in the ghettos, calling out inequality, oppression, and corruption. In a place where lines between politics, crime, and survival blurred, Marley's message was a threat. His popularity made him a potential unifier, but also someone that political actors could not ignore. When Marley agreed to perform at what would become the Smile Jamaica concert, some saw it as a purely peaceful gesture, but others read it very differently, as a political endorsement. Whether he meant it that way or not, Marley's role in that concert polarized people. To some, he was a hero bringing peace. To others, he was a dangerous symbol of political power. In short, Jamaica in the 1970s was not idyllic. It was a place where political violence was common, where parties armed gangs to protect their turf, and where foreign powers potentially meddled in local elections. In that charged environment, someone like Bob Marley, deeply loved, widely heard, and politically resonant, was inevitably going to draw attention from those who stood to lose if his voice grew any louder. The Smile Jamaica Concert. The Smile Jamaica concert is one of the most iconic moments in Bob Marley's life, and not just for the music. On December 5, 1976, just 2 days after he survived an assassination attempt, Marley stepped onto the stage at National Heroes Park in Kingston to perform for tens of thousands of people. He did it all wounded, literally, and that made the concert feel like an act of defiance, not just a show. Marley didn't just accept the invitation blindly. This was meant to be a peace concert, organized by the Jamaican government to calm tensions during a volatile election period. He insisted that it remain neutral. That's why he insisted on moving the location away from the Prime Minister's residence. He didn't want the concert to be seen explicitly as a political endorsement. Yet, many viewed his participation as support for Michael Manley's PNP. Some in the opposition saw it differently. They believed Marley's voice was being used. When the gunman attacked Marley at his home on December 3rd, shots were fired at him, his wife Rita, and several close associates while they rehearsed. Despite being wounded, Marley recovered fast enough to make it to the concert. He showed up with bandages, but also with purpose. His resolve was clear. He wasn't going to back down just because someone tried to silence him. That night, Marley played for about 90 minutes. Reports say he performed with raw emotion, acknowledging his injuries as part of the show. He made a symbolic gesture, showing the crowd his wounds, reminding everyone what was at stake. The image of Marley, fragile but unbowed, resonated deeply. It was more than a performance. It was a public statement that fear wouldn't shut him up. In his mind, the concert wasn't about choosing sides. He claimed he was neither a politician nor a partisan, but many believed otherwise. His song, Smile Jamaica, released around that time, struck a dual chord. On one hand, it felt like a message of unity. On the other hand, some critics interpreted the lyrics as a subtle call to support Manley's PNP. Marley later expressed frustration that people were twisting his intention. For those crowding into National Heroes Park, Marley's presence was electric. The concert brought together people from different backgrounds, those loyal to opposing parties, ordinary citizens tired of violence, reggae fans who saw Bob as a messiah of peace. That unity, even if temporary, was deeply powerful. People weren't just there for entertainment, they were there for hope. The stakes were high. Marley knew the risks. He behaved as though he understood that his influence went far beyond singing. He believed in music's power to heal and to speak truth, but he also understood how dangerous it was to be a unifying figure in a country divided by ideology and armed conflict. By performing, he made it clear he was playing for the people, not for a political faction, even if others thought differently. His message was simple but urgent. We can change this. We can come together. And his actions matched his words. In the face of violence, he chose peaceful resistance. In the face of a threat, he chose community. The Smile Jamaica concert did not resolve all tensions in Jamaica. It didn't magically stop the gun violence or end political divisions. But it gave people a moment of connection, a moment of healing, and Bob Marley, healing from real bullets, stood in the middle of it. That night, he sang not just for fans, but for a country on the brink, and showed he was willing to risk everything for his vision of peace. The assassination attempt. On December 3, 1976, Bob Marley's life was nearly ended violently and shockingly. Just 2 days before the Smile Jamaica concert, Marley was at his home in Kingston with his wife Rita and close associates preparing for the show. Around 8:30 p.m., 7 armed men stormed the house. Shots were fired indiscriminately. Bob, Rita, and others were hit, but miraculously, they survived. The attack sent shockwaves through Jamaica and the music world, creating a lasting mystery around who had orchestrated it. The gunmen were methodical and had a clear intent. Witness accounts report that they fired multiple rounds, targeting anyone nearby. Despite the chaos, Marley reportedly remained calm, instructing those around him to take cover while he tried to assess the situation. Miraculously, his injuries, although serious, were not fatal. His resilience in the face of such immediate danger became part of his legend. Several theories immediately emerged about who was behind the attack. At the time, Jamaica's political environment was highly charged. The government and opposition parties had been in open conflict, and violence in Kingston was widespread. This context suggested that Marley may have been targeted due to his perceived political influence. He had a reputation for bringing people together, speaking out against violence, and participating in events like Smile Jamaica, which some interpreted as political gestures. To some factions, Marley's voice was powerful enough to sway public opinion, and that made him a threat. The injuries he sustained were serious. Bob Marley was shot in the chest, arm, and leg. Rita Marley was also hit, and their manager and road crew sustained injuries as well. Despite the trauma, Bob insisted on keeping the planned concert, showing a combination of courage and commitment to his message of unity. His decision to perform wounded sent a strong signal to both fans and opponents. Fear would not silence him. Investigations into the attack produced multiple theories, but no definitive culprit was publicly confirmed at the time. Some reports pointed to political groups loyal to opposition parties. Others speculated that foreign influence might have played a role, though evidence remained inconclusive. Rumors swirled about international agencies and local gangs, all contributing to the sense of intrigue and danger surrounding Marley. The assassination attempt not only intensified public interest in Marley's life, but also cemented his position as a symbol of resistance. Surviving such an attack added to his mystique and amplified the impact of his music. Songs about unity, peace, and justice gained an added layer of urgency because they were now underscored by real, lived experience. Ultimately, the shooting was a turning point in Marley's life. It highlighted the intersection of politics, fame, and influence in Jamaica during the 1970s. It also demonstrated that Bob Marley was willing to risk his life for his beliefs and his music. His courage in performing at the Smile Jamaica concert just days later inspired a generation and solidified his reputation as a figure unafraid to confront danger in pursuit of a greater message. Who was behind it? After surviving the attack on his life, the big question loomed: who actually wanted Bob Marley dead? For decades, it remained shrouded in rumor and secrecy. The 1970s in Jamaica were a dangerous time, with political parties, gangs, and even suspected foreign influences all operating in murky territory. But new research, testimony, and historical analysis have shed light on some likely culprits. And it's more alarming than many expected. Political tensions in Jamaica were the first layer. Marley had become a symbol of unity and peace, and that worried certain factions. The People's National Party, PNP, and the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, were in constant conflict, with violent garrisons enforcing loyalty. Marley's influence could sway public opinion, and this made him a potential target for those who wanted to maintain control through fear and intimidation. Garrison leaders, known as Dons, were often armed and closely tied to political operations. Some reports suggest that certain opposition-linked gangs viewed Marley as a direct threat to their influence in Kingston. Then there is the shadow of international involvement. The Cold War context meant that outside powers had stakes in who controlled Jamaica. Some historians argue that U.S. intelligence may have been monitoring the situation closely, concerned about the socialist leanings of Michael Manley's government. While there is no definitive proof that foreign agencies directly orchestrated the attack, the tense climate certainly created opportunities for manipulation and coercion by parties both local and international. Local criminal elements also played a role. Evidence points to gunmen connected with JLP-aligned gangs. These groups were reportedly offered incentives to target high-profile figures perceived as sympathetic to the PNP. Their goal was to intimidate Marley and send a message to other public figures who might promote unity or oppose party narratives. In essence, Marley's fame made him a target, but his perceived political neutrality was seen as dangerous by those entrenched in the violence system. Interviews with people close to Marley, including band members and friends, provide further insight. Many have claimed that the attack was less about Marley personally and more about his influence. A highly symbolic figure capable of uniting people across political lines was threatening established power dynamics. The attackers wanted to prevent him from performing at the Smile Jamaica concert because they feared it would embolden the opposition supporters and reduce their own control over garrison communities. It is also important to note the timing. The assassination attempt came just 2 days before the concert. This wasn't random. The gunmen had clear knowledge of Marley's schedule and movements, suggesting planning and coordination. Marley's survival was remarkable, but the attempt served as a warning. In that environment, influence could be lethal, even for someone whose weapon was music. While no one was ever fully prosecuted or publicly confirmed as the mastermind, modern historians and investigative journalists have connected dots that paint a chilling picture. The likely mix of political operatives, armed gang members, and shadowy backers underscores how high the stakes were. Marley's survival was not just luck. It was a combination of timing, bravery, and sheer resilience. Ultimately, understanding who wanted Bob Marley dead reveals more about the world around him than about Marley himself. It exposes a society struggling with power, violence, and fear, where even a musician with a message of peace could be seen as a threat. His story is a reminder that influence can be dangerous, especially in times of political instability. Marley's response and recovery. After surviving the assassination attempt, Bob Marley faced a critical moment. He could have retreated, canceled the concert, and remained in hiding until the danger passed. Many people expected him to do just that. But Marley was not the type to bow to fear. Instead, he chose to act with courage, resilience, and a sense of responsibility to the people who had been counting on him. His first step was to assess his injuries. Marley had been shot in the chest, arm, and leg. Doctors worked quickly to stabilize him, but the physical trauma was compounded by the psychological weight of knowing that someone wanted him dead. Despite this, he refused to let the attack stop his plans. He understood that the Smile Jamaica concert was more than a show. It was a public statement about peace, unity, and defiance in the face of violence. In the days following the attack, Marley focused on healing while maintaining his public presence. Bandages covered the wounds, but he continued rehearsals and fine-tuned the concert set list. He demonstrated extraordinary stamina and determination, performing interviews and meeting with organizers, all while recovering from gunshot injuries. This balance of personal care and professional commitment highlighted his dedication to his music and message. Marley's performance at the Smile Jamaica concert was historic. He appeared on stage with visible injuries, showing the audience what he had endured. This act of courage turned the concert into a symbol of resilience. Fans and observers noted that his performance radiated not only musical brilliance, but also moral strength. Marley's decision to perform, despite the danger, reinforced his image as a unifying figure and a voice of resistance in a politically divided nation. His response also had a strategic element. By appearing at the concert, Marley powerfully neutralized the attacker's intent. He refused to be silenced and demonstrated that attempts to intimidate him would not succeed. His survival and public appearance sent a clear message. Fear would not dictate his actions. Marley turned an attempt on his life into a statement of personal and social power, amplifying the impact of his music and persona. Recovery for Marley was ongoing. Physical therapy, medical care, and careful monitoring were necessary. But he also leaned on his spiritual practices. Rastafari faith, meditation, and connection with his community played essential roles in helping him regain strength. His approach combined practical medical attention with mental and spiritual resilience, underscoring his holistic approach to life and challenges. Marley's response and recovery had lasting consequences. The public perception of him as untouchable grew, not because he was invincible, but because he refused to be cowed. He inspired fellow musicians, activists, and fans around the world. His handling of the situation added layers to his legacy, showing that courage and calm can coexist with vulnerability and pain. Ultimately, Marley's recovery went beyond the physical. He transformed a near-fatal attack into a platform to communicate hope, defiance, and unity. His actions during this period exemplified how he turned personal adversity into public leadership, reinforcing his status as both a cultural icon and a moral force in a country grappling with violence and political instability. Political fallout and public reaction. The assassination attempt on Bob Marley sent shockwaves far beyond his home and band. In a country already tense with political violence, the attack became a lightning rod for public outrage, debate, and fear. People across Jamaica and beyond were forced to confront the reality that even a musician could become a target in a politically fractured society. Immediately after the attack, both the PNP and JLP faced scrutiny. Supporters of each party accused the other of orchestrating the attempt. The lines between politics and violence were so blurred that no faction could claim innocence with certainty. Political leaders publicly condemned the attack, but behind the scenes, tensions escalated. Allegiances were questioned, and old rivalries intensified. Marley's perceived neutrality put additional pressure on politicians who had previously tried to claim him as a cultural symbol. Public reaction was intense and emotional. News of Marley's survival spread quickly, and fans organized vigils and rallies, expressing relief and solidarity. For ordinary Jamaicans, the incident highlighted the stakes of the ongoing violence. No one was truly safe, and power struggles were increasingly deadly. Newspapers and radio programs covered the story extensively, fueling speculation and amplifying concern over Jamaica's political climate. International attention also surged. Global media outlets reported on the attempt, framing it as a sign of Jamaica's instability. Bob Marley's status as a global icon meant that this was no longer a local incident. It became a symbol of political violence reaching into everyday life. World leaders, music fans, and journalists were suddenly focused on Kingston, its gangs, and its political feuds. Marley's fame had transformed a national crisis into an international story. Marley's own response helped shape public perception. By performing at the Smile Jamaica concert just 2 days after the attack, he defied fear and intimidation. That act was widely praised as heroic and moral, elevating his reputation as more than a musician. For many, it symbolized the power of resilience and courage. His decision to move forward, despite injuries, became a unifying narrative that transcended party lines. The political fallout was complex. While some leaders condemned the violence publicly, behind the scenes, suspicion and paranoia persisted. Investigations were limited, and few concrete answers emerged. This lack of resolution allowed rumors and theories to flourish, further fueling political tension. Marley's influence, both symbolic and real, highlighted the fragility of power in a divided society. Meanwhile, the public reaction reinforced Marley's role as a figure of hope and moral authority. Fans and journalists alike admired his willingness to confront danger without retaliation. His ability to remain calm, focus on peace, and use music as a bridge between opposing sides inspired confidence in communities exhausted by fear. Marley became a symbol of resistance, proving that courage could inspire change even when formal institutions seemed powerless. Ultimately, the assassination attempt and its fallout exposed the precarious intersection of politics, violence, and celebrity influence. It demonstrated that cultural figures could not be separated from political realities, especially when their voice carried the weight of social unity. Bob Marley's response shaped public opinion, both domestically and internationally, reinforcing his status as a symbol of resilience in a society struggling to reconcile power, violence, and hope. Modern insights and revelations. Decades after the 1976 assassination attempt, new research, interviews, and investigative reporting have shed light on the events surrounding Bob Marley's near-death experience. Historians and journalists have pieced together details that were murky at the time, giving a clearer picture of who may have orchestrated the attack and why. Modern revelations highlight the intersection of politics, organized crime, and international influence in ways that were previously overlooked. One major insight concerns the depth of political entanglement. Scholars now confirm that Jamaica's violent garrison system was not merely a backdrop. It directly shaped who targeted Marley. Certain JLP-aligned armed gangs were allegedly involved, motivated by the belief that Marley's perceived support of Michael Manley's PNP threatened their control of key neighborhoods. Interviews with former gang members and investigative journalists suggest that these groups were acting with both local and potentially foreign encouragement, reflecting the broader Cold War stakes in the Caribbean. Another revelation involves the alleged involvement of foreign powers. Declassified documents and historical analysis suggest that intelligence agencies closely monitored Jamaica in the 1970s, worried about Manley's leftist sympathies. While there is still no definitive proof of direct foreign orchestration, it is clear that the geopolitical context amplified risks for anyone seen as influencing public sentiment. Marley's voice, spreading messages of unity and peace, may have been interpreted as a political threat far beyond Jamaica's borders. Modern biographers and historians have also reassessed Marley's role in the Smile Jamaica concert. Once seen as a simple act of defiance, contemporary analysis frames it as a strategic decision. Marley carefully balanced neutrality while sending a moral message. Performing while injured was both a personal triumph and a calculated public act that amplified his influence. Today, researchers emphasize that his bravery was not reckless. It was deeply informed by his understanding of power, community, and symbolism. Further insights come from forensic and medical retrospectives. Experts studying Marley's injuries note that surviving multiple gunshot wounds, followed by a rapid return to performance, is statistically remarkable. This adds to his legacy not just as a musical icon, but as a figure of resilience whose life story intersects with the science of survival under extreme stress. Finally, modern investigations have contextualized the attack in the broader history of celebrity and political influence. Marley's experience illustrates how powerful public figures can become targets when their moral authority challenges entrenched systems. His story is now studied alongside other global instances, where artists or cultural icons were threatened because their influence threatened political or economic control. In short, modern revelations underscore that the assassination attempt was not an isolated act of violence, but a complex event shaped by politics, gangs, and international intrigue. Bob Marley's survival and response are even more remarkable when viewed through the lens of contemporary research. These insights reinforce his enduring significance and remind us that his legacy is intertwined not only with music, but with courage, strategy, and the enduring power of cultural influence. Bob Marley's story is more than music. It's a lesson in courage, resilience, and influence. Surviving a targeted assassination in the heart of political chaos showed the world that fear could not silence him. Today, modern research and revelations give us a clearer picture of just how dangerous his world was and how brave he had to be. Marley's legacy reminds us that standing up for unity and peace is not always safe, but it can be transformative. His life and music continue to inspire generations, proving that the power of a single voice can echo far beyond its time.